No Time to Die is directed by Cary Joji Fukunaga and is written by Neil Purvis, Robert Wade, Cary Joji Fukunaga, and Phoebe Waller-Bridge. This is the 25th James Bond film based on Ian Fleming's novel and produced by Eon Productions. And this is the fifth and final outing of Daniel Craig's portrayal of James Bond. The runtime is 2 hours and 43 minutes, making this the longest Bond film, and it's rated PG-13 for sequences of violence and action, some disturbing images, brief strong language, and some suggestive material. So this is what parents need to know when they're bringing someone aged less than 13 to watch this film. The film takes place after the events of the 2015 film Spectre, where James Bond left active service and is living a tranquil life when his CIA friend Felix Leiter recruits him to rescue a kidnapped scientist. And what happens next is what you'll get to know when you go and watch this film at the cinemas if you get the chance, or if you get this on Blu-ray and VOD very soon. I'll have to admit, this review is indeed very late, and that's due to the late release in Kerala on October 27. I'll say this, I freaking enjoyed this film. I watched this in 3D, which I'll talk about more later on. The direction by Cary Joji Fukunaga was very well done, the cinematography was excellent, and the action sequences were great as usual. This is the first Bond film to be shot using IMAX cameras, so there are some scenes that open up with more picture, and I imagine them to look excellent because I haven't seen this in IMAX myself, as there's no IMAX here in Kerala. It was intense the way you would expect a Bond film to be, and most of the time I was on the edge of my seat looking forward to what was going to happen next. The music is done by Hans Zimmer, and Hans Zimmer was being Hans Zimmer honestly, making every scene sound epic with his thundering score. And the title song by Billie Eilish was alright for me. I don't really listen to Billie Eilish's songs, so yeah, it was just alright. Before watching this, I watched the previous Daniel Craig Bond films, and we see how Bond's character evolves throughout. And when I finished watching this film, I found it to be a fitting end to his character. Yes, not gonna lie, it was bittersweet. I went out of the hall reminiscing about it, but in the end, the whole arc just felt complete and satisfying. The performances are stellar as usual. Along with Daniel Craig, we see a lot of characters returning, such as Dr. Madeleine Swan, played by Léa Seydoux, Felix Leiter, played by Jeffrey Wright, who last appeared in Quantum of Solace, then M, Moneypenny, Tanner, Q, and lastly, Ernst Stavro Blofeld, played by Christoph Waltz. We also see some new characters like Nomi, played by Lashana Lynch, who takes up the 007 title after James Bond's retirement, and I found it to be pretty good as well. Rami Malek plays the antagonist Lucifer Safin, and I felt his character was not fleshed out enough. He just felt like another bad guy who wanted to destroy the whole world and murder millions of people because he's a psychopath of some sort. With that being said though, Rami Malek does a great job playing this sinister-like character. But another new character that I found very intriguing was Paloma, played by Ana de Armas. For the 5 to 10 minutes she had in this film, she just stole the show. I'm really curious to see whether we can see Nomi and Paloma in future Bond films, or we just might not honestly, but it would be interesting nonetheless. Now this is the first Bond film to get a 3D conversion. As I previously stated earlier, I have watched this film in 3D, and the 3D version was released in some countries like the US, but not in the UK, which is basically the home of Bond. That felt very strange because I'm pretty sure there are people in the UK who would go and watch this film in 3D. But with that being said, I was pleasantly surprised with how good the 3D conversion is. DNEG did a great job with the conversion. There was plenty of depth throughout the entire film that makes you feel like you are part of the scene. I remember the opening gun battle shot, the opening credits being great in 3D, and I found some bubbles popping out in the underwater sequences. That was great to see. And I'm glad the film was more effective in 3D, even though the film wasn't shot with 3D in mind, but a great conversion can do the job well. Although I gotta say the 3D will look better in the limited IMAX 3D version, which is available in some states in India and countries like China and Germany. I watched the letterbox version with the 2.39:1 aspect ratio because, as I've said earlier, there is no IMAX in Kerala. Watching the 3D version on a bigger screen with more picture provided in IMAX makes the 3D experience a lot more better. God, I can already imagine how better it would be. I'm hoping Universal Pictures releases this film on 3D Blu-ray, at least in some countries like South Korea or Germany or Hong Kong or even India if possible. Because to be honest, I won't rewatch this film in flat 2D, no matter what. Overall, this is a great film that is meant to be watched on the big screen, so if you haven't yet, just go for it. And try watching it in 3D if you can, because I recommend watching the 3D version, as I've said earlier. What do you guys think of No Time to Die? Let me know in the comments below and I'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, take care, stay happy and healthy as always, and have a great day. Goodbye. What do you guys think of No Way Home?